thanks for checking out this video. Today what we're doing is breaking down 5 common Pilates exercises. These are exercises you see frequently in mat classes, and often they can be done when you're in that setting. It can be hard to miss or to get all the information as to what exactly is the objective, why are we doing this exercise. So this video is going to break down 5. These are all intermediate level exercises, and we have Alicia here. She is going to be our model. She is in a Pilates teacher training course, so she is in this work right now, which is really exciting. She'll be really fresh on all these details. So feel free to try along or just sit back and observe so you can understand these exercises a little better. So we're going to start with the 100. You can lay down on your back. 100 is an exercise for abdominal work, and this is an exercise that originally Joseph Pilates used to teach at the beginning of his sessions. I always teach him a little later because it's very difficult and I want to make sure I've adequately prepared your core first. But today we'll go right into it. You'll bend your knees, and we'll start with the one leg up at a tabletop position. And make sure when you go to tabletop, that knee joint right over the hip joint. Pull the other leg up to meet your first leg and zip your legs together. And that position is so important. If we're a little too far one direction, you can see right away Alicia's back starts to get involved. If we're in this away, we've kind of lost the stability, that neutral pelvis and spine position. So we're striving for tabletop, which looks beautiful. We'll take the arms up overhead. And this is also a moment of caution. Watch you don't go so far. Go ahead and show that you flare your rib cage. So you want the arms maybe a little off the mat so that you can have some control of the core. Alicia looks really good here. So we'll inhale to have her prepare. Exhale, she'll take her arms, head, neck, chest, and legs all follow at the same time. Boom, she gets into her position. Now the height of your legs can be different depending on what you can support with your abdominals. So we'll inhale, exhale, pump the arms, 2, 3, 4, 5, and inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. She'll keep that breath going. What I'm looking for when I see this exercise is that the arms aren't flapping too big. They're strong, the pumps are strong, but they're controlled. They're lower than that hip joint. I'm also looking to see if you're keeping the height. This is what we would call an isometric abdominal exercise, meaning the shape of the abs, the contraction of the abdominals doesn't change throughout the exercise. Really challenging stability. Looking that the shoulders are nice and relaxed. Lucy's look great, that her gaze is staying forward. She's not looking up and straining her neck. And lastly, I'm looking at the pelvis, making sure it's staying nice and neutral. No tension in the back. The last one, she'll finish. We say 100 because we do 100 pumps with the arms typically. You'll bend the knees. That's a chance to get a little higher. Whoa, 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 stay a little higher. And then I want your chest to come up as the arms lift. You stay and lower down and get that nice starting position. Set one foot down, set the other foot down. So there's the 100. The second exercise I wanted to break down is the side kick. The side kick. So we'll roll onto one side. This exercise sometimes is done a little later in class because you have to have your front and your back really supporting you. But we start actually up on the elbow. You can come a little higher even. Take this bottom hand behind your head. And where you set that elbow is really important. So you can see if we're too far away, this bottom side is really collapsed. And now if Alicia went too close to herself, she's going to have no room and this shoulder's going to hike. So what I usually aim for, somewhere off the diagonal of her collarbones. And also we want to get the hip square. So bring the bottom hip back toward me a little. So this top ASIS, that's your hip bone, is right stacked over the bottom side. Now we'll take the top arm behind the head. And we're really lifting up in the obliques. So this position, even though the exercise is called side kick, people focus on the legs, they think of the kicking. We're really interested in this side, this working. So my goal is to check back in halfway through at the end of the exercise, and there's no change here. You know what? I might bring your elbow a little closer though. Yes, I feel like then you're not going to fight gravity quite as much. She looks really good. Now we'll take the top leg up to hip height. She's using her outer glute to do that. So this is also going to be working the whole time. We'll flex the ankle joint and kick the leg forward. So we go as far as our hamstring allows without the pelvis moving, and then go just a little further. Keep that foot flexed. Now point to go to the back. We point coming to the back a little further. Flex the ankle, go front, further, point, back, further. That flex is important. I'm going to pause here because it's going to give you more of a hamstring stretch, as where when you point the foot and come to the back, that foot point is going to help you feel that length, that diagonal line a little further. And flex front, further, point, back, further. I'm checking and she's still lifting. I can feel her obliques under my hand. And one more, front and back, and come in line with the hip. She kept the height of her leg consistent. I love that. And she's out of the exercise. Nice work. Let's go into the next one. The third exercise we're going to break down today is the rollover. Rollover is for spinal articulation, so it's designed to stretch your spine and help you move it kind of one unit at a time rather than a whole section of your vertebrae feeling really locked. So this is great if you have a tight back, but it's intermediate, so it is a little more complex. So let's take the arms down by your sides. The shoulders are nice and open. Arms are pressing into the mat. The pelvis, the ribs, everything's nice and neutral to start. We always care about the way you get in and out of exercises too. They're going to help determine the success. Tabletopping one, then the other. And this is same as the 100. You'll start with your legs on a diagonal, and how far that is could be anywhere from maybe 45 to 60 degrees, or a little higher if you just can't support it in your back. We want to make sure that it doesn't affect the core, the positioning. You can stabilize. So we start with an inhale. You lift your legs straight to 90 degrees. The hip joint is at 90. And the movement is just like your pelvic curl. So we scoop the abs in. We start to peel that tailbone up and send the legs over. And we're striving for legs parallel to the floor. I'm going to let go. And even though we're rounded, you can still see like Belicia's back is still active. She's not collapsing down and crunching. So that's exactly where we want to stay. We flex the ankles. We separate the feet, and as you lower your legs, try and keep the height of the back. Nothing changes. So I'm going to just show what it would look like wrong would be if we collapse that way, or if we collapse this way and put too much pressure on the neck. So we lower down and start to roll down. There's the stretch. That's the stretch that makes it so worth it. We go to perpendicular again, point the toes, lower back to your start position, and zip together. Inhale. Exhale, scoop and roll over. Beautiful line. Flex, separate. Lower the legs. Before you lower the back, lower the legs. There. And now peel down, keeping your thighs close to your chest. Keep them apart. Keep them apart. Good. And point, diagonal, then zip together. Again, inhale. Exhale. She's really pressing down with her arms and sending your feet behind her. If you think up, it's going to be really hard to get your body over. And that can be one of those that results in that like plop down where a lot of your weight is concentrated in one spot. And let's show just one more. Inhale. So instead of thinking up, I think to the wall behind me. Good. And flex, separate, lower, and peel down. Keeping the thighs close to the chest is also going to help prevent that thud. Point, diagonal, together. Bend your knees. Set one foot down. Set the other foot down. Let's go into a full body integrated exercise next. This is our fourth exercise. You can come up. It's going to be front support. So we'll start on all fours in like a quadruped, hands under shoulders, knees under hips. And what we look for before we even get into the exercise is this setup position. So if you sink your chest down, You've lost a lot of the stability in your serratus anterior muscles. If you push the chest up too high and round in that upper back, a lot of people get into this rounded position. It's too high. We want to be nice and neutral. Shoulders are broad, shoulder blades and collarbones are nice and broad. I love that Belisia's hands are nice and elongated. They're supporting right under her shoulders. There might be just slight bend in the elbows, but don't overdo a micro bend. Abs are lifting. She's in a nice neutral spine position. I would just take your head up just a smidge. Perfect. From here, nothing in the trunk changes. We take one leg back, tuck the toes. You can see she held very nicely. We bring the other leg back, and we should see no change. She's biasing maybe just slight towards a posterior tilt. She's thinking her sternum coming a little forward, and she's in a great line. So from here, we try and keep the stability. Bend one knee, it comes forward, extend back. We'll do first two kind of slow. Bend and back. Now you can see Belisia's shin hits the mat, her knees down, and I like that because she's not having to lift her hips higher to clear the floor. So that means she's not losing her trunk stability. And pull. Now that we have it, let's add a little speed. Exhale, inhale, back. Exhale, and back. And inhale, and we're watching. There's no dipping, twisting of the hips side to side, no rotating. I always tell everybody, no hula dancing. And one more dry ice, a little towards that posterior tilt. And last one out. Now bend one knee back underneath. It should look how we started. Bend the other knee, and hopefully nothing changed. That's our goal. Awesome. Last exercise we'll break down today will be swimming. One of my favorite exercises, but it took me a long time to learn to love it, as with many of the people I teach. So start lying down on your stomach. And we'll zip your legs together nice and long and reach your arms all the way out overhead. So this exercise, I think why it's hard for people, one, there's a coordination element. Two, you have long levers with your arms and your legs. So it's really extending and making it harder to control your limbs when they're this stretched out. But because of that, you get much deeper work in the backs of the shoulders, stability in your scapula, a lot of core work to connect the long levers above and below, and you get some leg work as well. So this is full body, the back side of your body, everything is working, which I love. So when we set up for swimming, the first thing I like to tell people is to lift their arms off so your biceps are basically framing your ears. And you can see already that puts a lot of height in the shoulders. Keep engaged in the core and use your hamstrings and glutes to float your legs off the mat. This is not a high position in the back, it's about length. So we start, nothing changes in the torso, nothing changes in the head. We lift the right arm, the left leg, I think I've got her opposite, sorry, and switch to the other side. And switch to the other side and the other side. And we inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we inhale. And I think Belisia's legs are a little high, so I'm thinking she might be losing a little bit of her lower abs. I want that length again. Good. And continue. And boom. And boom. Think the bottom ribs push forward, not back. And boom. And boom. And boom. Something else we're striving for is once we had set it and light the shoulders, we're only going higher than the head. So we only come back down rather than getting down here into like a doggy paddle. Go ahead and lengthen down, stretch over, and give yourself that moment. Release the back here. What I was seeing that I mentioned, her legs going really high, is it looked like it was concentrating here. And I really don't want her lumbar, her low back to be doing a ton of load. So what I need is just a little more abdominals on this next one. And only lift your legs what you can do from your glutes and your hamstrings. So it's going to be much smaller because I don't want to see this change at all. She lifts her leg again, boom, and switch, boom, and switch the legs one up. Good, and switch, And switch now, much smaller, but guess what? This looks way nicer, way more in control with your core. Boom. You can work your way as fast as you can just because we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathe in. 2, 3, 4, 5. Does not mean you need to move that slow. You can go within those counts, but it's just to give you a nice breath. So you're inhaling and exhaling. Inhaling and exhaling. Whatever speed, you can keep this stable. I used to hear people would be like, pretend you have to bounce a plate here and here. Don't drop it, don't tilt it. I love that cue. Let's go ahead and come back down. Once you do something as intense as swimming, especially for as long as Felicia just did it, give yourself a nice rest position so you can release the muscles in the back. And then you can gently roll yourself back up. Alicia, thank you for helping us break down these moves today, and I hope that it helped you connect with some of your mat classes that you've been doing at home. We'll see you next time.